friends, and welcome. And the subject for this video is the different methods of interpreting scripture. There's a big difference between the Greek Western mindset and the Hebraic Eastern, Middle Eastern mindset, and this is what this video is about. The Greek Western mind looks in a logical way at things, but the Jews, they look very differently at life in general and in scripture especially. In my former life, I was a police officer, and one night in the middle of winter we had a burglary call, and the burglar had only recently left the scene. It was a night shift in the early hours of the morning. We attended and went to the back of the house where the burglar had just escaped. Now, it just happened that it was a snowy night and the snow was fresh. Sure enough, at the rear of the house we saw a perfect set of footprints left by the burglar as he had escaped. And also it was a full moon, and we didn't even need flashlights to follow the burglar's footprints. A few minutes later we were standing on the burglar's doorstep, banging on the door, and we went into the house and caught the burglar with all this swag. We are at an event and we look for an explanation. In my feeble illustration, we have the fact of a burglary at this property, and we glean from the home owner that the burglar has only just recently decamped from the rear of the house. We go to the back of the house and see the footprints. So eureka, we deduce that the burglar is not very bright and walked home in the fresh snow, not thinking about the footprints he was going to leave behind, of course. We deduce that if we follow the footprints, we will find the burglar, arrest him, and hopefully recover the stolen property. But what? Are we missing anything? Why did the burglar take the route he took? Is he going straight home or somewhere else? Is there any significance in the route that he took? Was he taking a straight line, the shortest way, or did he purposely deviate to do or observe something else? So look at the lay of the land. Did the burglar take the plain or the valley? Did he walk up or down any hills? Is the landscape, the topography important? Are some of the ways of his route more pleasant to the eyes? Did he avoid difficult places to walk through, or did he plough ahead through thick and thin snow with a sense of purpose? Did he consider the fact that if he had kept to the shallow places, he may not have left footprints? And did the burglar just take the easiest route home, the shortest, or the one he was familiar with? And then, what was on the route? Were there fences to cross or avoid? Was there a path underneath that he knew about? Did he open any gates and leave them open or close them? Did he walk or run? How did he carry the loot, underarm or in a pack? Then, look at the moon and the stars. Was the day on the calendar significant? Was the moon full, waxing or waning? Then what about the snow? The snow lies over the land. What lies beneath the snow? Is there rock, stone, grass or soil? Are there landmarks under the snow that we need to consider? Well, you're all perhaps scratching your heads. Welcome to the Jewish world, my friends. The Greek thinker does what the police officers did. They see the evidence, they conclude the burglar has just left, they follow the footprints in the snow and arrest him. 3 weeks later, the Jews are still digging round in the snow looking for treasures. And so the Hebraic mindset is to look at different levels. This can sound long-winded or even confusing. There is a method though, and it is called Pardes, and I shall try and explain it to you. There are 4 levels of Hebraic interpretation of Bible text. We can call these 4 Pardes, and it's comprised of four things. The first is Peshat, the second is Remez, the third is Derash, and the fourth is Sod. The first one is called Peshat, and this means the plain, literal meaning of the text. In other words, the obvious meaning of the text. The next is Remez, and this is the implied meaning of the text, or an allusion, something that is alluded to in the text. Then thirdly we have the Derash, and this is the interpretation or exposition of the verses, and the Jews have a book called the Midrash, and unfortunately there is very little difference in some passages between the Derash and the Peshat, just to make it nice and confusing. The fourth is called Sod, and that means the mystery or the deeper meaning of the text. Now in the days of the Messiah, how the Hebrews learned the Bible and spoke about the Bible was in the synagogue on the Shabbat, on the seventh day, the day we call Saturday. And the weekly portion of the Torah would be read, and then they would have what's called a midrash, from the word derash, where they would all give their opinions on what the verses mean, and there would be a nice time of teaching and fellowship in the synagogue. And we see in Luke 4 when the Messiah spoke in the synagogue, and he explained the verses from the book of Isaiah. And then later on in the book of Acts, we see the Apostle Paul, Rav Shaul, visiting the synagogues and being involved in a midrash after the Torah reading and the scripture readings, and this was the accepted method at the time of learning and interpreting the scriptures. And if you feel a bit upset, I'm really sorry, but the fact is that almost all of the Bible was written by the Jews, the Hebrews, and of course it was written with their mindset and their understanding of the scriptures in mind. And so if you want to read and interpret the Bible in the mindset of the people who wrote the Bible, overwhelmingly the Jews, as inspired by the God of Israel, please, friends, look at these four different methods of interpreting the scriptures, and I'm absolutely certain that you'll be surprised and blessed by the exciting ways that God will speak to you. So it's goodbye for now, and I'll see you next time.